Broadcasting live from Abe's Newsroom, Ottawa.
Good evening, Canada. Good evening. It has been a sunny day, November 29, 2015.
I am Jessie Cañal.
And Kevin Jabal, serving you the hottest
and the most leading news of the hour. Your business.
Our news.
And for the headlines, trade between Canada and Africa to grow by $10 billion. Canadian ECA and EDC has announced its plans to grow its total business to $10 billion in the next 5 years now that the first African office has been relaunched in Johannesburg. Key sectors of interest for EDC as it expands into a broader African market include commodities, infrastructures, ICT, clean technology, transportation, and agriculture.
For the local news, here is Marga on the move and out on the street. Hi Marga!
Hello Kevin, I'm here just outside Costco supermarket bringing sad news to kids and also to kids at heart because the future of their favorite snacks and cereals are looking a little less bright. Yesterday, most of the companies have agreed and also pledged to use little or no use at all of artificial coloring. Instead, they will just use vegetable powder and vegetable juices. But the real question is, will most of the consumers really like the idea of less brightly colored packaged food? The answer is yet to come as it moves into stall soon. Also out are the recent poll by eBaseCanada.com. It is about the vast majority of Canadians who are willing to spend the same or even more over the holiday season. About half of it are willing to stretch their holiday budgets and take advantage of the deals of the best shopping days of the year. Here is Mr. Adrian Down Colson, General Manager of eBaseCanada.com, to explain more about this matter. How are you?
Things are looking bright, and while the economy may not be predictable, Canadian shopping habits are. Our survey demonstrates that shopper employs a range of clever strategies when it comes to shopping smart and stretching their budget during holiday season.
And that's all. I am Marga, on the move and always out on the street. Back to studio.
Canadian exports surged for a second month in July to the second highest on record. Adding to the evidence, the nation's economy is rebounding from a slump. Exports rose to 2.3% after a 5.5% gain in June. Statistic Canada said in a report from Ottawa. It was the biggest two-month increase since January 2011. The nation's trade deficit narrowed by $593 million, the lowest since November 2014.
Before we tackle the most recent issues about corporate governance, it is important to know what it is and where was it from. So here's a quick corporate governance review from author.com. Corporate governance broadly refers to processes, mechanisms, and relations by which corporations are controlled and directed. Canada's system of corporate governance is derived from British law model with strong influence from the United States. While corporate governance practices from US and UK are similar in many respects, Canadian practices usually fall somewhere in between. For our Call for Change segment, we will be tackling gender inequality on boards because the C for many years and through various avenues, Canadian Coalition for Good Governance has publicly supported increased gender diversity on boards. Its current position, it is a need. Still, the level of board gender diversity at Canadian public companies remains stubbornly low. According to a 2014 study by Catalyst One, only 20.8% of board seats at S&P TSX 60 companies are filled by women. Gender diversity is lower at Canadian companies below TSX 60. Only 17.1% of board seats among Canada's 500 largest companies and 12.13% of the board seats of all Canadian public companies are filled by women. CCGG views this underrepresentation of women on boards to be governance issue and therefore an appropriate policy focus on CCGG.
Investors write at most REITs not up to standards. Governance Group warns. On November 23, 2015, real estate income trusts, which are proliferating on public stock exchanges in Canada, are coming under pressure to make it easier for discontented unit holders to be heard and to seek remedies. The push is coming from a corporate governance group backed by some of Canada's largest pension plans, and follows a series of enhancements made earlier this year at Ryuken Real Estate Investment Trust, Canada's largest retail REIT. In a statement issued Monday, the Canadian Coalition for Good Governance says investors' right at most REITs aren't up to the standards of corporation, and in some cases, the declaration of trust that govern them leaves significant gaps in investor protection.
On a more recent update, still two-thirds of corporate directors who appear to win majority support for re-election this year have remained in their jobs, despite policy requiring directors to tender their resignation when they lose votes. A review of 2015 voting trends by Kingsdale Shareholder Services shows 21 directors of Toronto Stock Exchange listed companies received less than 50% support from their shareholders in board election this year. 7 directors later resigned, while 14 have remained on their boards. The votes are being closely watched by shareholder advocates after the TSX introduced a new rule last year requiring listed companies to adopt majority voting policies, which are corporate policies that require directors to tender their resignation if they receive less than 50% voting support. The TSX policy allows boards to reject the resignation in exceptional circumstances, but that loophole appears to have been used in many cases.
Before the news, forex markets are one of the things that is always observed and analyzed. Here is a background of what it is and how it operates. The foreign exchange market is known to be the largest financial market in the world. As measured by the daily turnover, the recent BIS triennial survey estimates that the total turnover in the global foreign exchange market is $3.2 trillion a day. By most estimates, the trading volumes in the foreign exchange market are continuing to grow rapidly.
The Canadian dollar showed some movement in both directions last week, but finished the week unchanged. As US dollar over Canadian dollar closed at 1.336, this week's highlights are gross domestic product and employment change. Here's an outlook on the major market movers and updated technical analysis for US dollar over Canadian dollar. Gina. US dollar over Canadian dollar opened the week at 1.336 and quickly climbed to a high of 1.3435. As resistance held firm at 1.344, the pair then reversed directions, dropping to a low of 1.328. US dollar over Canadian dollar closed at 1.336.
Don't change your channels. We'll be back with more news after these reminders.
Oh, we have received a footage containing the meeting of the largest names in Canada's forex market. Let's take a look at this. The foreign exchange market is in the period of remarkable transformation that is changing who is trading, why, and how. Not only are trading volumes in the foreign exchange market expanding rapidly, the primary source of this market growth are helping define the profound structural transformation taking place. Deal flow with the foreign exchange market is increasingly transacted electronically using automated computerized trading routines and by a much wider array of market participants. These changes reflect innovative developments in electronic trading, technology, and institutional trading that are shifting the balance of market participation between the bank and non-bank accounts, large and small market participants, and domestic global players. And as the result of all of that is, this is ongoing structural evolution, the foreign exchange market is arguably becoming more liquid and operationally efficient.
we're back with our segment, Canadians Value Banking Innovations. And I'm here with Mr. Stephen S. Wallace, Governor and member of the Executive Committee of Bank of Canada. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and our business is doing fine.
Okay, that's good to hear, sir. So let's get to it. How do Canadians bank nowadays?
Since customers are embracing new technologies, banks are offering Canadians more secure and faster ways to do their banking.
Okay, so what are the things that have changed over the years that concern e-banking in Canada?
Gone are the days when doing banking meant a visit to a branch. Customers can use debit cards and get cash back at the same time. Customers can pay bills online through a mobile device, at an ABM or by phone, or even set them up for direct payment. Canadians are embracing their new choices.
Well, can you say that most of your customers have approved of the recent innovations in e-banking?
A 2014 CBA survey, How Canadians Bank, showed that Canadians use a variety of banking services to meet their needs and believe technologies available through their financial institution make their personal banking more convenient.
So does that make online banking the most popular way to transact?
I think online banking continues to grow and is now the most popular method of conducting banking transactions. For more information, more than 3/4 of Canadians report using online banking in the last year. 55% of Canadians now use the internet as their main means of banking, up from only 8% in 2000, and online banking is popular among all age groups. 57% of young Canadians between the age of 18 and 34 say online is their main way of banking, as do half of those 55 or older. 45% of Canadians report that their use of online banking has increased, while only 4% say it is only the decline. 48% of Canadians use online banking as their primary method of bill payment, while 27% prefer pre-authorized debit or credit card payments. 7% in a branch, 4% use telephone banking, and 4% pay at an ATM.
So how about the branches? What are the changes that you've made recently? So we'll be back with his answer right after this commercial. And we're back, and I am still with Mr. Stephen S. Wallace, Governor of Bank of Canada. So back with the question, how about the branches? What are the changes that you've made recently?
Despite the growth in electronic options, branches remain a vital part of banking in Canada. To better meet customers' needs, many branches are extending their hours and opening on Saturdays and Sundays, and some branches offer drive-thru facilities. 13% of Canadians surveyed identified branch banking as their main banking method, down significantly from 29% in 2000. Residents of Manitoba and Saskatchewan are the highest users of in-branch banking, with 15% using it for their main banking needs. For Quebec residents, only 7% rely mainly on branches. 40% of Canadians say their use of in-branch banking has dropped. As demand for day-to-day banking has decreased, branches have become more specialized, where a variety of financial products, services, and advice are also available.
What about the AVMs? Are they still popular?
There are more than 65,000 ABMs in Canada, including 18,775 banks-owned ABMs. More Canadians now identify online banking as their primary banking method over banking at the ABM. In 2014, Canadians made approximately 531 million cash withdrawals, 182 million deposits, and 39 million bill payments at banks-owned ABMs. 85% of Canadians use ABMs when making cash withdrawals, while 25% do so at a branch. 21% also take advantage of cashback services available at some retailers.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Steven Espolos. And that is a wrap. And here is Stephanie for the latest news on Star Patrol. Back to you, Jim. We live in a society that doesn't offer much sympathy for musical prodigies. From the start, Justin Bieber was an icon. The combination of his cool, mellow voice and youth made him perfect for teenage girls to love and from everyone else to target with scorn. His single One Time went platinum in the US and his debut, My World 2, hit the top of the charts. Bieber reached the top echelon of the music industry. But Bieber was also immediately placed under an intense global telescope. As with many childhood stars, he made troubling missteps. Now, however, his highly orchestrated comeback is working perfectly. At Bieber's lowest point last year, many thought his career would flame out. Now he's making rounds, laughing at his own missteps on talk shows, and you can hardly turn on the radio without hearing him sing. He has two top 5 songs in rotation, and his long-awaited fourth studio album Purpose, out Friday, might even be bigger than his most recent in 2012. It already ranks 5th on iTunes album chart. Cheers and shouts erupted from the International Media Center in Manila on Thursday, November 19, as the Philippines wrapped up a year-long chairmanship of a key regional meeting. But the enthusiastic response at the close of Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit wasn't directed towards the pacts and partnerships forged between heads of economies during days of talking trade, regional cooperation, as well as bilateral concern. Instead, it was focused on one specific world leader, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the man who has taken Philippine social media by storm. Trudeau arrived at the media center past 6 p.m. for a press conference held shortly after Philippine President Benigno Aquino III delivered his closing remarks as APEC chair. Just minutes after Aquino left the stage, dozens of volunteers staffed for the event headed out in droves toward Briefing Room 1, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister tagged as an APEC hottie by netizens. The newly elected Canadian leader spoke to media after Aquino's speech, where he was asked about his experience at his first APEC summit, Canada's ties with other countries, and inevitably his celebrity status amongst